And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Monday, January 29th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today, but before I get into that, as always, just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So, that being said, let's get right into what we are going to talk about for today. I hope everybody had a good weekend and enjoyed the games, because that is what we will do. We will recap both championship games from yesterday. We'll start off with the Chiefs and the Ravens. The Chiefs defeating the Ravens 17-10 and advancing to yet another Super Bowl, and I know a lot of fans are thrilled about that outside of Kansas City. Then in the second part of the show, we'll recap the NFC Championship game, the 49ers winning 34-31 over the Detroit Lions, so we'll get into that. Then we'll talk about the Lions and the Ravens, both coming up short, so we'll get into more of that in the third part of the show. Because I know we'll get into that a little bit, of course, recapping the games, but that we'll talk about that. And then we'll take a look at the Super Bowl matchup. We'll do an early preview of the Super Bowl 58 matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. So, with that being said, let's get into recapping the first game, which is the AFC Championship game between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. So, obviously the Ravens were the 1 seed coming into this game, Chiefs being the 3. This was Patrick Mahomes' second road playoff start. And the Ravens, we talked about this. They were the better team all year. Obviously, it's been quite some time since Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson faced off against each other. And I did expect a little more scoring in this game, but that was not the case here. The Ravens, they got the ball first, and it was a quick 3-and-out. And I was like, okay, that's not good. And then the Chiefs, they went right down the field on their first drive. 10 plays, 86 yards, almost 6 minutes of time of possession. And Patrick Mahomes connected with, of course, Travis Kelce for a 19-yard touchdown, which was a great throw and catch on both sides. And that led to it being 7-0 early on in the game. And then, this is where I thought, okay, here we go. The Ravens, they answered with a touchdown drive of their own. 6 plays, 75 yards, 2 minutes, 43 seconds of time possession. Lamar Jackson connected with Zay Flowers for a 30-yard touchdown. And it was a similar play, because they talked about it on the broadcast, where against Jacksonville, where it looked like Lamar was going to get sacked, and then he threw it to Isaiah Likely, and Likely made a great catch. It was kind of similar, except it wasn't it was a great play, but it wasn't a contested catch by Zay Flowers. Lamar avoided the sack, got out of it, and he lofted it up to Zay Flowers, who got behind the defense, and he scored the touchdown, which tied the game. And you thought, okay, all right, here we go. This is going to be this could be a back and forth game. And then the Chiefs, they answered with a touchdown. This drive was 9 minutes, 16 plays, 75 yards, and Isaiah Pacheco scored a 2-yard touchdown. So that made it 14-7, and then the Ravens' next drive didn't last very long. Lamar Jackson fumbled. He got hit from behind, didn't see it coming. And the Chiefs actually turned it over on down, so that was huge in the game. Kind of a questionable spot on the play before the fourth down that the Chiefs didn't convert. So, actually, Travis Kelce they showed the replay and he was short. But, in the beginning I was like, wow, I thought he might have got the first down there. On 3rd and 9. So then the Chiefs went for it on 4th and 1, didn't get it. So that was big for the Ravens, because I thought at that point, I was like, all right, well, the way the Chiefs' offense has been looking, they could go up 2 scores here, but that didn't happen. Then both teams punted. The Chiefs kicked a field goal before the end of the first half. That was a 52-yarder by Harrison Butker. So that made it 17-7 at the half, and the Chiefs were getting it to open up the second half. And, we're all saying in my group chat, if the Chiefs score here, this game is definitely over. But they punted, then the Ravens punted. Both teams just punted to start the third quarter. Chiefs punted, Ravens punted, Chiefs punted again, Ravens, Chiefs, they both punted. Then the Ravens fumbled, um, and that was this was the Zay Flowers play. Yeah, so the Ravens quick draw. I mean, they really weren't doing anything offensively. They got 14 yards out of Zay Flowers. They had good field position because there was um, it was a big long pass play to Zay Flowers for 54 yards. That's right, and then there was a penalty on Zay Flowers taunting, so they got pushed back. Then a 14-yard reception by Zay Flowers, and then from the 9-yard line on 2nd and goal, Lamar Jackson throws it to Zay Flowers, and it looks like they're going to get a touchdown, and they're going to be right back in this game. And he fumbles right before the ball crosses the plane. Chiefs recover it in the end zone, and that's points taken off the board. And the score remains at 17-7. Then the Chiefs punted again. Ravens are driving. 12 plays, 74 yards. You get a 10-yard pass play to Isaiah Likely. Yeah, and the Ravens actually started from their own one. So 10-yard pass play to Likely. Lamar scrambled for 9 yards. Then he got sacked for a 2-yard loss. So then they went for it on 4th and 3 from their own 18. Lamar was able to convert that to Odell Beckham Jr., so that was a big play. If they don't get that, the game would have been over there. Then another 8-yard reception by Odell. Big play to Nelson Aguilar for 39 yards. And then for some reason, on second down from the 25, Lamar Jackson throws into triple coverage and gets intercepted in the end zone. And Isaiah Likely was calling for the ball, and Lamar threw it to him and it got picked off. So that was a bad play. That's points left off the board. And earlier in the game too, they had they could have kicked a field goal earlier in the game too, but then they got pushed back out of field goal range, and they couldn't get 3 points there. So then the Chiefs punted again. Ravens were able to get a field goal on their next drive, so it was a one-score game, 43-yarder by Justin Tucker. But then the Chiefs were able to ice the game. On 3rd and 9, Mahomes threw it up to Valdez-Scantling for 32 yards, and that was it. And the Chiefs advanced to yet another Super Bowl. Again, many fans are thrilled by that. And the Ravens, they come up short. My takeaways from this game, I was very surprised because you go and look at the stats for the game. That's the other thing I wanted to do. So Mahomes went 30 to 39, 241 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco, 24 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, a monster game. 11 targets, caught all of them, 11 receptions for 116 yards and a touchdown. Valdez-Scantling, 2 catches for 38 yards. Rashee Rice had 8 for 46. They did have 4 sacks in the game, the Chiefs defense had. And then you look on the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson went 20 of 37, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was their leading rusher with 54 yards on the ground. Gus Edwards had 3 carries for 20 yards, and Justice Hill had 3 carries for 3 yards. The Ravens really did not run the ball in this game, and a lot of people are saying this, and I agree with it. They panicked because they were falling behind, and they're like, all right, well, now we got to throw it because we're not going to be able to catch up if we're just running it. But the Ravens' defense played unbelievable in this game. They kept this game close. So the Ravens, they didn't really have to, get away from their game plan, which is running the football, get away from their strength. They could have kept doing that because the Ravens' defense kept getting stops. Because the Chiefs got shut out in the second half. They didn't score any points. And the Ravens only scored 3. Zay Flowers, 5 receptions for 115 yards and a touchdown. And, of course, the fumble, that was huge in the game. He was frustrated by that. He actually, messed up his finger, they were saying, on the sideline because when he threw his helmet down. But also the taunting penalty, that just, you can't do that in that spot. Nelson Aguilar, 1 reception for 39 yards. Justice Hill had 4 for 34. A lot of dump-offs in this game. Again, credit to the Chiefs' defense. The Chiefs' defense played well. This was a defensive battle, as the game progressed. Because I thought, you had the Chiefs going down the field and scoring. Then the Ravens answered after going 3 and out on their first drive, and then the Chiefs scored again. You thought, oh man, this could be back and forth. That just wasn't the case. Again, 3 points were scored in the second half. Odell Beckham Jr. had 3 receptions for 22 yards. Likely had 2 for 16. Mark Andrews had 2 for 15. He came back for this game. Really was the non-factor here. The Ravens actually did get to Mahomes a couple times. 2 sacks on the day. And actually at one point during the game, Lamar Jackson was like their second leading receiver because he threw a pass that got batted up in the air and then he caught it. And I thought that was another play that he could have maybe broke it for a big gain, but the Chiefs were able to tackle him from behind. And also, they did go for it on fourth down on the first touchdown drive to Zay Flowers, which was a huge gamble early on in the game, but it did pay off. That was on their so it was 4th and 1 from their own 34, and Lamar Jackson got the first down. It was a 21-yard game, and I honestly thought that was another one that he could have broke for a touchdown possibly, but the Chiefs again were able to tackle him. But yeah, I mean, this is a same story, different year. The Chiefs, they continue to own the Ravens. Lamar Jackson did not play well in this game. It's just, again, the Ravens, they didn't really run the ball like they should have. I mean, again, the defense was getting stops. And again, I was saying, this is the best Ravens defense that Patrick Mahomes is going to face. And again, they got shut out in the second half. I mean, the Ravens defense really stepped up when they had to. They got to Mahomes. After the 2 touchdown drives to start the game, they really settled in. Both defenses really settled in. It just, and there was a lot of quick passes that they were doing. They weren't trying to push the ball down the field. Oh, they were, but it's just they really did not connect. I mean, every time Lamar Jackson did take a deep shot, it was, a couple yards past the receiver that he was targeting. I shouldn't say a couple, but still, like, he was overthrowing his receivers. But I don't know. I really didn't. I was surprised with how the Ravens came out. Again, you were kind of hoping that they were going to run the football more, which they just didn't do. Because again, I agree. They probably panicked because they thought, oh, all right, we're losing to the Chiefs. We got to now we got to throw it. But the game never really got out of hand. The Ravens defense kept it close. It's just the Ravens just could not get it done when they had to. And they beat themselves with penalties. I know a lot of people were complaining about the penalties in the game. I thought pretty much, the flags, the penalties were the right calls. It's just, you saw that the Chiefs weren't getting as much flags as the Ravens were. A lot of people are upset about, and Kyle Van Noy got called for a penalty, for, hitting Travis Kelce in the face with his helmet. After, Kelce was kind of starting with the Ravens. There was a lot. It was very chippy, even, before the game because you had Justin Tucker warming up where the Chiefs were warming up. And, Kelce threw away his helmet and his the footballs that he was, I guess, going to use. And then also the thing he had with it that he puts the ball on. They just were throwing that. And, it was chippy early on, even before the game. But, yeah, I mean, the Ravens, they beat themselves in this game, ultimately. That's really what it comes down to, and that's really what was going to, be their downfall is them beating themselves, and that's what they did in this game. They just dumb penalties, and again, they just went away from their game plan, and ultimately that's what led to them losing this game. And the Chiefs, they move on to yet another Super Bowl, and obviously we'll continue to talk about this later in the show. The Chiefs once again in the Super Bowl again. And the Ravens, their season is over. So with that, we are going to take our first break of the show, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the NFC Championship game now between the 49ers and the Lions. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.